Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video, we've got another Start Collecting Age of Sigmar video for you, focusing on getting started with Slaves to Darkness, and in particular, the Knights of the Empty Throne. Now, what exactly are the Knights of the Empty Throne? They are a Slaves to Darkness army that focuses on sort of what happens to the command structure of Archaon's realm when Archaon is not there. The Knights of the Empty Throne are his Vanguard Knights, his greatest warriors who take over sort of running his realm while he's away doing other things and messing about the realms for absolutely everyone else. And so this army focuses on those Vanguard leading the army. And so what we'll do is we'll talk about what this army and particular sub-faction gives us and what it allows us to do. No guesses as to what that'll be, but we'll go through it anyway. And then we'll look at what units to grab first, and then some units we can use to expand upon this force. And finally, we'll finish off the video with a little sample army list. And so, let's talk about what this gives us. Now, first of all, it is a Slaves to Darkness army, so we get all the sort of generic rules you get with Slaves to Darkness. But the big thing you get with this is you get Vanguard characters. This means your unit of Vanguard becomes a character. Whether it is in 3, 6, or 9 models, that unit becomes a character. In fact, all Vanguard units inside Knights of the Empty Throne become characters. This is really cool. First of all, it's multiple models leading your army, which is really cool. It's a lot of wounds, it's a lot of good armor saves. There's some really cool artifacts you can stack onto these units. It's a really nice little piece of tech you can use to build your army around, and it's cool and narrative and fluffy. It pretty much focuses really on making a Slaves to Darkness with Vanguard as sort of this big focal piece within the army. It hits hard, it's resilient, it's generally quite elite because Vanguard generally are quite expensive, and it's also got some cool command abilities that allow you to play around with the objective game. The Unmatched Conqueror's command ability allows you to pick an enemy unit that controls an objective within 12 inches of one of your heroes, and you roll dice for equal to the number of models in that unit, and for each 3+, they count as having one less model in the unit being able to capture it. It's a really, really cool mechanic. And so this is pretty much what Knights of the Empty Throne gives us. It's all about making those Vanguard the best they can be and really being the shining piece within the force. So with that said, let's get cracking on and let's have a look at, shockers, there won't be any surprises what you should grab first, but let's go see what we should grab. And so, no surprises here. Where to start? Pick yourself up a box of Vanguard. Vanguard are an absolutely amazing unit. So first of all, 3-up save, 5 wounds apiece. They're counting as 2 models and objectives for you. They are solidly awesome. You got the options between ensorcelled weapons and fell spears and demon forged blades. All of them doing the different sort of things. Really, this is up to you on which one you prefer. And you got the tearing fangs of their mounts as well. They're able to take a Mark of Chaos, which is really cool, and they have the elite command word, meaning they can issue commands even if they weren't inside this particular subfaction that makes them a hero. You got the Favoured of the Ever-Chosen, where you add 1 to hit rolls made for attacks with melee weapons from this unit if Archaon is in your army. Once again, this doesn't affect them in this because, of course, Archaon is never going to be in this army. Impaling Charge means you've got to add 1 to wound rolls for attacks with the spell spears if they charge. And you've got Relentless Killers, where once per battle they can pick to fight again, even if they've already done so. Their Warp Steel Shields as well, giving them a 5+ ignore spell effect ability. And the Demon Bound Blades as well have their own cool ability, where if you get a 6 to hit, you do a mortal wound. You've definitely got some great options here for your Vanguard. They're absolutely stunning miniatures and they're just really solid. Like, all their profiles hit hard, do some damage. They are going to do a lot of work for you and they're not going to be killed very easily. Now, other units we want to look into are perhaps Chaos Warriors, sort of the baseline warrior for your army. Really, these guys are sort of going to be the backbone of what your army is all about. Chaos Warriors have a 4-up save, though they do get the ability to get some reroll, or rather add 1 to their save rolls whilst they've got at least 10 models in the unit, which is pretty nice. You can reroll hit rolls as well for them if they've got paired hand weapons. Though, if you choose to go with the shield weapon option, you've got a 5+ mortal wound save, which is nice. They're able to take Marks of Chaos, as is most things in the army now. Go check out those FAQs. But they've got pretty decent profiles. They're a good, solid battle line units, just going to hold objectives for you. Meanwhile, you can do the rest of your other thing. Now, the last units I want to talk about are the Chaos Cultists. These are a bunch of units generally referred to as your Warcry warbands, things like Untamed Beasts, Iron Golems, the Splintered Fang, the Unmade, and all of those. There's some really interesting warbands here with a bunch of cool effects. Particular favourites of mine are things like the Iron Golems with their good defensive abilities, or the Untamed Beasts with their pre-game move, enabling you to sort of set up screens and sort of dominate the board game a little bit earlier, which you struggle with in those early stages with a slow moving army like Slaves to Darkness. The Chaos Cultists have a ton of good options to play around with. You should definitely check out some of the models, check out some of those rules, find out which ones you think work for you the best. And where do we go to next? Well, the first unit I want to look at is Chaos Knights. Much like Chaos Warriors, this is just a really solid unit. They've got good save, they've got ability to get mortal wounds, shrugs, they've got lances and a couple of other weapon options that, you can make up your mind on which version you like the best, but I think just a good amount of wounds. This unit is really hard to shift. It sounds weird that Knights are going to be one that's like more sort of a grindy unit, but that's really what they are. They're going to sit there and your opponent's going to have to spend time trying to get through them, and meanwhile, they're probably going to kill a bit on their own as well. The Chaos War Shrine is the next unit I want to talk about, though. It's a really cool model. First of all, it's got the ability to do a whole bunch of prayers on a bunch of different models, giving a bunch of different effects out to various models within your army, which is really, really nice. And a bunch of these models and things it can do just can buff up your army in a great amount of ways. And so it can also take a mark, but it doesn't have to have the mark to associate to take with this. So you've got the Favor of Calm, where you can get some reroll to hit rolls. You can get 4+ ignores on spells and abilities. Thanks to you can add one to your save rolls, and you can also reroll charge rolls, and you can also reroll hit rolls for attacks, or hit and wound rolls for attacks as well. From your Favor of Chaos, so the Undivided one. There's just a ton of great abilities on the Chaos War Shrine. Next, we've got the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, who's got a cool ability enabling you to get, well, first of all, it is a wizard, so that's one of the benefits of taking the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. But also, it's got Ocular Visions, where you can add one to your save rolls for another unit. Definitely, this is probably better on an army where you've got something besides Chaos Warriors. This is really good on things like Chaos Knights and stuff like that. And you've also got Demonic Power, which is just a fantastic spell. Reroll hit and wound rolls made for an attacks by mortal Slaves to Darkness unit. Really solid spell and ability and a caster. And then you've got your Chaos Lord. He's got some cool abilities as well. So he's no slouch in combat. For a little 5-wound hero, he's going to do a decent amount of work. Probably good at clearing off some chaff, and he's probably going to beat out other sort of 5-wound heroes around him. But his command ability, Spurred by the Gods, is really cool. You can pick up a friendly mortal Slaves to Darkness unit, hold within 12 inch of him. And after that unit has fought in the combat phase for the first time, when it's your turn to pick a unit to fight with later in the same phase, you can select that unit to fight again. Just some more sort of double piling mechanics. A really solid piece to have. You can definitely get some more sort of work out of a unit, especially if you've got buffs on there from your Chaos Sorcerer Lord and War Shrine. You can really make sure you can get the most out of those. Slaves to Darkness in general work really well when you start sort of piling up those combos onto the same unit, enabling all these sort of buffs to go off on the same unit, getting the most out of them and the most use out of all those buffs. And so here we have a little sample army list for you for Slaves to Darkness, Knights of the Empty Throne. For starters, we're going to be in the Mortal Realm Shaiish. This is just a little bit narrative. If you know the story around Wrath of the Everchosen, it's Catacross and Alinda going in to try and beat up the Vanguard while Archaon's sort of distracted, trying to get Slaanesh out of his prison. So nothing more than a little bit of narrative fluff there. Grand strategy, Vendetta, slaying our opponent's general, keeping our lives. I mean, this is just, once again, being a little bit of a fluff bunny here and totally making sure my Vanguard are going to go kill my opponent's general. Triumph, we're going for Inspired. We are only 5 points shy of 750, so it's unlikely we'll get it, but +1 a wound could be really cool if we are indeed going to get it. Our leader, we've got Knights of the Empty Throne, Vanguard ×3, so a unit of 3 of them. They're our general. They've got the command trait Inescapable Doom, which is enemy units within 3 inch of our general, cannot retreat. Really, really strong for keeping opponent's units tied into the grind that Vanguard are going to do to them. We've got an artifact, the Arcane Tome, on our Vanguard, making them a wizard, and they're going to take the spell Flaming Weapons to put that extra damage on all their attacks. Mark of Chaos is going to be Nurgle, which is pretty cool. So we can get this to do mortal wounds on 6s to hit. This means we're not having to go with the particular weapon option that we get this, and we can choose one of the other weapon options, potentially the one with a lot of attacks option here for our Vanguard. And then we've got our Chaos Lord with Reaper Blade and Daemon Bound Steel. Mark of Chaos Nurgle, once again, this works really well because he explodes hits to 6s and then has mortal wounds on 6s to wound, which is nice. Battle line here, 10 Chaos Warriors with hand, weapon, and shield. Once again, Mark of Chaos Nurgle. And then we've got 9 Untamed Beasts for a great little screen and unit just sort of throw out, make sure our opponent can't alpha strike us and stick us in our deployment zone. And then 8 Iron Golems, which are a fantastic little survivable unit for objective grabbing and holding in our home objectives. This whole army here wraps up into a battle regiment, making it a 1-drop at 745 out of 750 points. So, you know, there's not that much chance we're going to get the triumph, but you never know. No reinforced units and no allies, coming in at 59 wounds, and as mentioned, a 1-drop army. If you've been playing with Slaves to Darkness in the new edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, so let us know how you're going in the comments below. And also, especially if you're playing Knights of the Empty Throne, let us know how you've been going with the army. Well, that's the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you'd like to, you can come over and chat more with us here at Sinful Gaming and our fine little community over on Discord. You'll find a link to that Discord in the description of the video. Lastly, we'd like to give a shout out to everyone who helps support the channel via Patreon and YouTube members. And if you'd like to help support the channel via Patreon or YouTube members, you can do so by one of the links in the video's description once again. But a special shout out to all our patrons: Christian Weir, James, Soren, Chaos Spawn, AJC, Kenny Lyle, Outer and Shop First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, and Dyna226. And another special shout out to our YouTube members: Greenridge Gaming, Kenton Young, Steve T, The Real Zeop, Chris Wallace, Turo12, Vinny, Lock Lorick, Matt Mollin, Becca Kinski Groupie, and the Johnny84. And lastly, a definite special shout out first of all to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for the channel, and to Xmorphic, who does all the background work for our Discord server, keeping everything there running smoothly, because I am completely computer illiterate. Thank you very much. But that's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe again. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.